Welcome to Spiritually Imperfect, the show where the metaphysical meets the practical. This is your space to explore the mysteries of the universe, embrace spiritual growth, and connect with the energies all around us. No one spiritual journey is perfect, but that's the beauty of it. Hosts Mike and Jen bring their unique blend of perspective, humor, and heartfelt nature to every episode. Whether encouraging, facilitating readings, or diving into exploring mediumship, energy healing, or searching for clarity, Spiritually Imperfect is a place to where discussions of the collective experiences that we all share comes to the surface. Now, here are your hosts of Spiritually Imperfect, Michael Christopher and Jennifer Lee.
You're not Jennifer Lee.
Oh no, I stole her face. Surprise!
Surprise.
Well, I tried to at least.
Yeah. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Spiritually Imperfect. Jen is off tonight. And Kelly, poor Kelly, this is like the third time you've been back.
Well, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay, right? It's poor Michael, really.
No.
I'm the replacement. You know, it's what you get. I'm so sorry.
So everybody, this is Kelly. If you don't know Kelly, she's the producer of our show and owner of this. I can't talk tonight. Sacred Spiral Network. She's also a numerologist, a psychic medium, and probably like a ton of other things that we don't even talk about. Like we all do different things, but we focus on the metaphysical, I guess, here, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's so many, yeah, right. So many things. I mean, you got the gist of it. I heal with energetic healing and teach. And then I'm just like you. I'm just interested in a lot of things. So there's a lot of things that I practice and learn about that I just don't even do for my business, but it just fuels, learning about energy.
Right. So I just completely lost my train of thought. It's happening again.
It's happening again. Welcome to Earth.
I know what I was going to say. If you're watching from my page, I have comments open on my Facebook page because they are not showing up on the dashboard, which I know there's a reason for that. So I do see you on my page. I will try to pay attention to both sets of comments. So I see Kelly and Nancy there. Hello, Kelly, Nancy. Bonnie's also watching from my page. So Jess is here. She's on YouTube. So thanks for joining us, everybody. So we do have a little bit of a topic. Shortly before I came on tonight, I always sit and see if anything comes up. And there was a few things that came to mind, but the one that kind of pushed its way to the top was to talk about the ups and downs, I guess, of dependency on seeing a psychic or seeing a medium. So I'm going to try to carefully navigate through this because I really want to press my point on what I'm trying to say. So one, yes, I think it's healthy to seek out a psychic or a medium for answers when we're feeling stuck or we want to connect with somebody. The danger in that is when we want to keep seeing a psychic or a medium, right? Because we just want to keep coming back. We want that validation, right? That either our loved ones are around or we're making the right life choices. And I've seen it before, and I've actually had the experience myself where that can actually turn into a negative. I remember when my sister passed, I kept asking her, it's like, I want to see you, I want to have that experience, of seeing you. And two answers really came out of that. One, the humor side was, do you really want the shit scared out of you if I actually appear to you? And I was like, good point. No, I don't. But the second one was a little bit more in depth. And again, it was a thought that she sent to me. So it's kind of like a download. It all came to me at once in one just big thought, right? That turned into what she was trying to explain to me. And basically the premise was, if I appeared to you, what's that going to do? What's that going to do for you? You're going to want to see me again. And then you're going to want to see me again. And she further explained in that thought was, we have to learn to live without them here in the physical. They're no longer here. So by coming back and having that experience, it's almost like opening that wound up again and again and again. Especially if you haven't gone through the healing process and really learn to live without that person in your life in a healthy way. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it is a very fine line. But I think we have to all reach that point where we just let go. Again, not letting go of who they were, who they are. They're always going to be a part of our family, a part of our life. But we do have to get to a point where we have to just surrender to the point that they're no longer here physically. Yes, we'll see them again. And they want us to continue living. I've brought this up before many times in the messages. So I'll just stop there because I can ramble on and ramble on. Well, I mean, what do you think, Kelly? I mean, you do a lot of psychic work. You probably see a lot more clients returning for that type of a reading as opposed to mediumship. That's just my guess. I don't know.
It can be both ways. It can be both ways, but I think people want to return, right? Whether it's mediumship or psychic, myself a psychic, because there's life insight with a partner or understanding where you were able to validate them in a way where they went, how did you know that? You must know something more. Like, I guess it's time for me to come back. Are you free next week? So it's interesting because I do think part of my energy and part of my guides kind of help take care of that, because I will set the expectation and also I'll put the energy out. I'm like, okay, well, if you do want to come back, we can talk about it, but I recommend like 6 months minimum. And it depends on what you're asking for. If you want a completely different type of service, like if you want Reiki, if you want numerology, and I just gave you a psychic reading, or we had a mediumship session, sure. If you know, if you just came in for a life reading and then you want to talk to your grandfather, sure, we'll have a crack at it.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But to look at the same thing over and over, or get, like you're saying, to get touched in the same mode of why you went to the session in the first place, of I have to talk to my son, I have to talk to my husband, I have to talk to my friends, I had to make sure they're okay, I had to make sure that they know that, I'm sorry, or I'm thinking about them. It's not a healthy thing. And I think it's important to just reiterate, mediumship and psychic readings, they're not therapy. They're not. Right. And people get so enamored or happy or healed from one session because its service is not like therapy. It's not, we see you every week, we see you every month. That's coaching, that's even mentoring, and not a reading. Sure, it's going to be a big burst at once, and you think more and more and more. Oh my God, more and more. I couldn't get this in any other form. More and more and more.
Right.
Like, no, like moderation. It won't help you ultimately. And I can say more, but I want to hand it back to you.
Oh, no. And no, I think those are all great points. And, again, with therapy, I can't speak for everybody. I'm just taking a hunch that there's a lot of people that probably skip the therapy and try to work through it themselves. and they seem to be stuck in that same space, year after year. And I'm like, yes, seeing a medium for that message can mean a lot, but you still have to work through, you know, those feelings and those emotions. And I just think, in that a therapy or a therapist can be so beneficial. I think it's the whole thing, right? It's like a team, yeah, seeing a medium, a psychic, great. But then there's your family. I see a lot of people that tend to not talk to each other in the family. It's like almost like taboo that we can't talk about that person anymore. It brings up too many, sad memories. So you got individuals within the household that have no outlet and they just hold on to each other, to themselves and the grief and what they're feeling. I just think we're a therapist or even group therapy or a group session on bereavement, bereaved parents group or something similar can be so beneficial to just help you work through that. I don't know. What do you guys think out there? I know I'm seeing some of the comments that you tend to agree, and that's great. Again, I mediums and psychics, we have an ethical responsibility. And I know that for me, I will not see the same person twice in a year. I don't want to. I don't want to be that person that you keep coming back for. There's only so much your person in spirit is going to tell you. They'll come by and they'll maybe tell you that they see what's going on in your life, and that's great. But after a while, it's like, what's left to talk about?
Well, it's I do feel that's something that sitters or people who come to get readings, family members, that's what we call people who come to get readings, sometimes sitters. They need to know that, and a lot of people don't know this. I would say almost 90% of the time, when you have that first reading, you fulfilled your purpose. It's, that spirit's probably supposed to come to you once and only once, not always, but that's what you're kind of going with the energy on. Okay, I did my job, and sure, like we had a great connection, but right, they come to you and you have the objectivity. You've never seen them before. You don't know what's going to happen, and they can work through you very effectively. And there's magic and there's synergy for it to happen like so organically on that day. And the next connection probably won't have the same energy. Granted, it's okay to read for people again, but there has to be a reason and a feeling, and it's not just again. And right, we go, okay, it worked, and we surrendered, and this is what we get. And we don't, as the medium, we don't expect that to be needed to happen again per se. We don't. So we really do like when it happens, just, okay, you came to me, I've never met you. All right, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens, rather than let's get your uncle again. He knows what to do. We didn't even know that your uncle is going to come in the first. We don't. That's the whole thing as mediums and psychics. You think we would know and, know who to bring in. And it's like, no, this is all happening very, very just, we put our hands back. And the last thing I want to say on this is, because again, I could keep going, with spirits, they're really in charge, and we just happen to be the medium that can help facilitate that, right? So you might get really excited. And so what I say to people, and what I've seen with a lot of people, is a lot of people who have lost loved ones or are very, very connected to wanting to feel spirit, then mediums will say, come to my mediumship class, or come to a meditation class, or let me recommend somebody to you, maybe for a different reading experience, or again, development. So it becomes of, if you really need to heal and you really, really want to talk to your loved one, there are techniques that are very simple, not saying you get everything one class, but to give you the principles that if you really yearn to talk to your son again, or daughter, or husband, or boyfriend, if it's somebody very, very close to you, you're never in any position not to do that. You just are next to someone that can teach you how to take your power back. We reminded you of the power of spirit, and now it's time for you to engage in the power of yours. You should not be continuously paying somebody for access to spirit.
Right.
They're the catalyst sometimes. That's it.
And that's 100%. You know, I've said this in the past that if I could put mediums out of business, I would. And by doing that,
whoa.
I have no problem with that. I want people to be empowered to know that they are as capable as we are in receiving messages. And like Jess is saying, you know, when we know somebody closely, it's hard to do a reading. A lot. Like, I will not read for my family. I just can't. It's just something in my. It's weird. I don't do it, and I don't want to read for the same people over and over because I've already done that. Their memories are there sometimes, and I just want it to be a truly authentic experience for people. And I'll say one more thing. That again, our job as a medium is to demonstrate the survival of the soul beyond physical death. And we do that, like Kelly said, during that first session. That's what people mostly want to know is my person all right? They come through, they give us evidence, they share things about their life, they share things about what they're seeing now going on in your life. That right there is a magical moment. And that right there served the purpose. You now know beyond a reasonable doubt that your person is still here somehow in some form. Yes, they're not physically here in a body, but they are still here. And I think that's something that, I mean, it's powerful. But again, there's dangers in coming back to that and wanting more and more and more. But you know, I digress because I'll just jump back into saying the same thing over again. And one more thing, shows like this, or, you know, people that get together in groups like this, these networking groups, there's another form. Even if you don't get a message, you're amongst people talking about this topic, and it just reinforces that there's more. And for me personally, it just gives me peace, especially when I was sick and not sure if I was going to survive. It just gave me peace knowing that there's something beyond this. And that's all I needed. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Even now I find myself in those thoughts. It's like, this is temporary. Why am I getting so upset? This is a temporary experience. Yes, it's important. I'm here to learn something. I'm a little slow and I have to repeat the lessons over and over and over. But I know this is a temporary experience. You know, there you go.
It's a temporary experience, and I think like mediumship is very important to receive it at different times in your life. Even mediums, maybe they need a reading, right? Maybe they need a return to some type of healing that helped them. But it's important that there isn't that necessity. And it's okay if somebody, let's say, goes well with your energy. Maybe, I mean, it's true. There's some people where I can read just very effectively for. I'm like, wow, your energy is just very easy to work with. That's great. But I'm not like, again, it's not come back in a month. It's not come back in 2 months. No. And it's for, again, coaching or mentoring or classes of personal development. That's what I'm for. And you set the expectation, because when you do have so much time around a person, you can't read for them the same way sometimes. And we have to kind of remind people that. So there's reasons why we say these things. There's reasons why we're talking about these things. It's from a healing ethical standpoint, but it's also from a utility standpoint.
Right.
We're not trying to push people away. We're not supposed to do everything. We're not. And just because something really, really knocked your socks off or you had extreme healing in, that doesn't mean you keep returning to that place for the healing. It's just a part of the healing. But I want to address Jenny's question.
Okay.
I read for a friend whose husband passed. Now she's dependent on this. I've had to put up the boundaries. It's also draining. What do you think, Michael?
You did the right thing. You have to set boundaries with people. And again, you can explain it to them in a compassionate way. And again, it's not that you're being crude or dismissive. They might not realize it in the moment, but you're doing something very beneficial for them. And sometimes it's tough love. And again, they might not see it in the moment, but they'll realize it later that you did them a favor by, cutting them off. So no, I agree. I have to go to my Facebook page and I acknowledge some these comments are rolling in. So everybody on my Facebook page, Angela, hello. Hello, Jennifer, we miss you. Bonnie, hello. And I saw Kelly Combs. Who else is here? Crystal, hello, Crystal. Angela, I'm trying to read your comments, but if I don't get to reading them now, I'll try to respond after by replying. But I'll read one. So Angela's saying, yes, we're giving tools and techniques along with self-validation, but no one has to choose to embody this guidance to change habits or patterns of behavior and thought to change their own life. That's right. We just surrender and allow. We do. We get the tools to realize how we can connect with our family and friends. And again, there's that trust word that we have to acknowledge or not acknowledge. We just have to realize that we do get messages. It's just not having an expectation on how that message will unfold. It might not unfold right there in that moment when you're asking. I got to touch it because that just sparked a memory of something I just experienced the other day. I think it was a medium on YouTube, and she was talking about your higher self as a guide. Oh, it was a near-death experience. She said when she got to the other side, she experienced her higher self. And she said it was so strange because I'm looking at myself, knowing that's my higher self. And she's like, my higher self was looking at me, knowing that that's me. And I was just like, it twisted my mind at first, but she's like, when we have these internal conversations, we're having it with ourself, our higher self. And I heard somebody explain, like, when you talk about master guide, someone's opinion was your master guide is your higher self. And I was like, whoa, I've never thought about that. But I'm like, it makes so much sense. When your higher self is still there, a majority of your soul is still on the other side. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you trust yourself first or give yourself advice? So some of those internal conversations, I believe, are with ourself, are with our higher self. I know it probably didn't make any sense, but it made sense to me. So.
No. It made sense. Our higher self is a huge part of our spiritual connection, and some people are aware of their higher self, and some people they go to guides, and some of that is the same thing. Not all of it, but some of that is the same thing. And you're basically highlighting that our higher self is one of the biggest, you could say guides, giver of guidance. It's our ultimate access to the truth. We could go, it's a huge deal, and not enough people utilize that because they're looking somewhere else.
Right. I gotta go to Tina's comment because it was Tina. I'm sorry, I'm giggling because I just have this thought that I'll share after I read your comment. But what do you think it means when you talk to your loved one and ask for sweet dreams and get dreams where you're arguing? Did you guys like to argue with each other? Because to me, maybe that's your husband's sense of humor coming through with, we like to push each other's buttons. So maybe that's his example of a sweet dream, giving each other shit or getting you riled up. Just a
I'm
thought
curious
that
what
came
she's
to
gonna
mind,
say.
Tina.
She says no, not at all.
Because I know I've read for you before, Tina, and your husband has that personality. So
I think that's funny. There might be something to that, to open your mind a little bit, but I'm not sure how that comes in, but there might be something to that if that was the personality, no joke. I do think that the soul is organizing itself.
mhm.
Our conscious, excuse me, is organizing itself, and we're doing soul work while we're dreaming. So sometimes we can have stress or nightmares or weird things like arguing, and you wake up and you're like, what the heck is that? Like, I wanted something sweet. I wanted something, just eye-opening. Wait, really quick. What is she saying? She's saying, I do cuss him out though when I had to take out the trash. Oh my gosh. Well, life is basically it's acknowledging our energy dynamics. And sometimes if we want more awareness, we're going to look at some of the things going on, and we're going to filter out what our life means to us through these weird occurrences of, I would never want to dream about that. Well, would you want to live it? Because your body is processing how your energy is functioning, and that's why all these, maybe in the dream world, is fantasy. Why would I? But in the living world, why would you too? It's your energy.
Yeah.
So you get that sometimes when you're trying to be like more aware and spiritual, and you're like, well, I thought that was mediumship and spirit guides, and it's like, it's just what Michael said. It's actually your higher self giving you a look at yourself and what's going on around you for some insight.
I just had this thought too, because like we were talking about going to see mediums over and over. I feel sorry for anybody who goes to see a medium after I go, because I'm the most boring person. To get me to talk when I'm a chatterbox on here, but in my daily life, I can just sit and stare at a wall and be perfectly content. It's like people have to poke me to talk to me. So I'm going to be one of those souls that come through and is just one of those. He's not saying any. I must be doing this wrong because he's not saying anything. It's like, no, that's his personality. He's either sarcastic or I don't know. I'll be the one like Tina's husband that just comes in with those, I want a sweet dream. Here's a sweet dream.
No.
Why the hell haven't you gotten the oil changed in the car lately?
There's always room for some of that. I think that in life, certain people use their energy very differently, and sometimes it's hard to catch onto how to read them. And how can I put this? So a lot of my development when I was younger, and even when I was a young adult, and I had to kind of talk myself out of it at times, because I'm just like, I need more multifacetedness of life, even though I did have that in a way. But I would do so much like meditating and so much just I wouldn't even be journaling, but I would just do like a personal review, and I'd do lists. And so when people would read my energy, they wouldn't know what to talk about. They'd just be like, oh, you seem like aware or like philosophical. But it's like, it was hard to talk about anything else because it was just like review, thinking, feeling, right? And then energy of others. If I'd actually be working, that's not my own energy. I'm in someone else's energy. So, right, you go, what the heck am I? How is someone gonna read me? There's always a way.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. I've actually said to people like, wow, you really don't go out of your house much, do you? And they're like, yeah, I don't. And I go, oh shit. As soon as I know that, I'm like, where am I going? Right?
I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a quick mediumship session because I'm like, like Tina's saying, her husband always said he wanted to be a fly on the wall, but never commented. That's me. I mean, I there's two sides of me. I mean, yeah, sometimes I don't know how to shut my mouth when I should. Yeah, so I'm different. Anyway, this is interesting. I want to go back to one comment here. This is how my mind works. So like I said, I'm watching the comments here, but then there's here. And Bonnie
You
had
know what? I'm wondering really quick, Michael, because you've mentioned that before, and then they've come up on some shows, haven't they? Like there's some shows where you haven't had to. I think if I gave you different permissions, they would just come up. That's what we're gonna have to do.
I've gone through that and I've made sure everything's public.
No, I mean for here.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like when Jen's on, I think you guys have a lot of the same friends.
Yeah.
Because when she's on, a lot of the people that you are on your page, it comes through, and it's not coming through tonight. I'm like, that has to be it.
Yeah.
That has to be it. Because I'm like, why is it? It's exaggerated on the show of what I can't see, and that's not normally the case. I don't think. Right?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to try it. We'll have to try it. Okay.
It's funny because I asked my wife before we went on too. I was like, "Do you have anything that you'd want to hear? You know what?" She's like, maybe talk about signs, like when your people are around." And that's exactly what Bonnie had. I'm trying to find your comment, Bonnie, but she had said her parents had been gone for 7 to 9 years, and she said she still has difficulty receiving messages, or she's not aware of the messages. And it's a very great, it's a great question, because that's right. That's what we all want. We want to have that personal, tangible experience with somebody that is crossed. That's why I believe a lot of us will see a medium, as we just want that proof. And again, it's when they do, it's so subtle. And I think most of us dismiss it as just coincidence, which is it's a shame, but it's perfectly normal because our mind is there to protect us, and like your ego saying, no, that can't be them. So again, I'll just repeat that when you get something, whether it's something that reminds you of them, you could be cleaning out the garage, and maybe the person that's helping you says something like out loud that your person in spirit would say. You know, like me, I'll I'll just sit there and just bitch about things. If that's something your person did, and all of a sudden that person that may be helping you starts doing that, and it's like all of a sudden you think, you sound just like so-and-so, that's a message from them. That's them influencing that person to talk like that. So again, it may not come like right then and there in the way you're expecting it. But anytime you have that feeling that comes with a sign, like you just know, it's like, this just happened. Damn, that reminds me of so-and-so. That's them. Hold on to that thought and just cherish that moment, and know that they influence that for you, that experience.
I do think that's really real, and I think that it's so subtle that people go, I want something else. And even when they get something else, they're just like, is this real? Is this real? And they want a medium to validate it, or someone else who has abilities, anyone to know that it's not just them. And yeah, it's a spiritual process of, deprogramming your brain, because society would say, well, that's nuts. How do you know that's real? And it's going to have to look like this if you believe it. And really, it should look like something very different for each one of us, of why we choose to believe, and why we go, that sat with me in a certain way. I can't explain it, but I know it. And yeah, the more I do feel, the more you believe, the more it solidifies and it starts bridging to reality. Yeah, I used to a ton of times ago, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if this is real. And, I asked someone in my family I was like, Grandma, leave me pennies or leave me coins or something. And I would always start to get pennies when I would ask her. And I'm just like, this could be not real. I
Right.
think it is, but I would doubt it, even though I'm like, I think this is real. And now I just know when I see a penny, it's my grandma. I mean, I went to a mediumship demonstration. I love watching people work. It was Matt Frazier, and I was in LA. So, we were out of town, and I crossed the street, and literally the sidewalk intersection right before you get to the theater to walk in, there was a penny right before the theater, just sitting in the middle of the road. And I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I get the pennies and the feathers, and they're slightly different meanings. Like, do you get anything where you're like, okay, that's from this person, or that's my sign, or
Yep.
what do you get that made you feel certain? And I guess, when did it lock into place for you? I'm curious, Michael.
I got to go back to these comments. So Bonnie, it's funny then
Sure,
that I
please.
come up with that example then, because Bonnie replied that her husband sounds just like her dad. So maybe your dad influenced me to say that example to let you know he's here. That's how spirit works. It's just interesting. A lot of these thoughts probably are not mine, when I talk about this, because they kind of want to let us know that, hey, this is real, right? What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, Pamela has a question on my page. She said, Mom died this past February. Does it take a while to see signs? If your mom is like one of my brothers, it took him 5 years before I got a sign from him. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? And he's like, what? There is no time over there. So what may seem like an eternity for us is like a nanosecond to them. So it's never on our timeline, unfortunately, but it's just remain open. And for Julie, I just have to say, just pay attention to your dreams. Just pay attention to your dreams, because I think that's where it's going to first come through for you.
And believe, like, sure, you can. I think you can believe and doubt at the same time, but know that it is possible, and don't just wholeheartedly doubt it just because there's a possibility to doubt. Maybe some things, maybe they aren't a slam dunk, and
Right.
they don't resonate ultimately. That's okay, but explore it. Like, just go, I don't know yet, but I'm exploring, and I believe that this is helping me explore and understand what's going on, rather than I have to know, and since I still don't know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doubting. So this is not about knowing yet. It's about belief and faith and allowing yourself to experience some of these things.
I got to share this really quick, and I talked about it before, but it was a sign from my sister when I was really doubting my work and myself and whether or not I wanted to keep going. I won't go into it too deep, but it was basically, I did a reading for a person that was completely out of the norm, impromptu, long story. But by me being in that place at the right time, basically what this woman told me is I saved her from her taking her life, because she was at that point. Now, 2 weeks prior to that, I had been bitching at my sister again. I was like, what the F? Why am I need a sign. Why should I keep going? And I said, and I think, Kelly, I told this one to you, but I was just like, I don't need a freaking feather. I need a effing sign. Like, no bullshit. So 2 weeks later is when this reading took place. And as I'm driving home, my sister was like, was that a big enough sign? And it caught me so off guard. I had completely forgot about me just bitching away to her. And it was like, bam, there it was. It was just like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, holy shit. That just reinforced why I do this work. I know it's hard, but you just have to be patient. One thing I will say is they're around. I mean, if you've watched anybody do mediumship, I've said it before, watching John Edward, I knew I was never going to get a reading from John Edward, but I would see all these validations through the readings for other people. And I was just like, there it is. I don't need a reading for myself. by watching this take place, I know that they're okay. I know that they're somewhere. And one more thing. This was what I was going to say earlier. So I got severe ADD. Bonnie had said, I think it was Bonnie. She said when she has an experience, and if it wasn't Bonnie, I apologize. If you're the person that this belonged to, you can comment. But she said, I write down my experiences when they happen. That way I can go back and reread them. And that's such a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, I used to journal a lot because I had a lot of doubt. And when I was developing, I wanted to come back to certain posts in 3 weeks or even a year and see the relevance of that. So I had proof in writing. And there was a lot of things that would just add up and make sense about my feelings about people or the things I'd observe or the things that I felt with my heart, but I would doubt myself. And I just started going, oh, so you have to, like Michael said, you have to write things down and document it and start to learn that this is just not in your head. And I used to have experiences where I did feel connected to loved ones, maybe when I did have more confidence and did have more belief, but then I wanted different experiences because I was curious. And I, again, further didn't want it all in my head. So like when my grandma passed, I saw her in my mind's eye. I heard her voice. I felt like she was talking to me at times. It was way more right when she passed, and then it kind of like dissipated, and she just comes in for readings and practices a lot. So it was way stronger then than it is kind of now. But I would be like, no one ever gives me a feather or a penny or like, because I didn't ask for signs. I used to not ask for signs. I wanted different things. So I was like, will someone give me something? And then she started bringing me pennies. So sometimes you have to ask for it too. And when it happens, just go like, oh, okay, well, it is what I asked for. So more of that. Let's see what happens. And the final thing I want to say is I've told this story as well. I wonder if I've told this to you, Michael. I feel like we've talked about it.
Okay.
But it was like it's like the auras and seeing auras and colors. Do you remember anything about that? I don't want to talk your ear
That
off.
was weird because I was thinking of that earlier today. I'm like, if we do readings, should we do aura readings? So this is weird.
Ooh, okay. All right, cool. All right. Cool. I'm up for it. That's like more my wheelhouse.
There you go.
Like, so I was like, I know it's real. I can feel in my heart it's real. And I've had certain experiences where I can kind of see bits of something, but it was never enough for me to go, yes, that's it. Like maybe it's never enough to go sometimes within your life where you are, oh, I saw spirit. I had an experience. I know that this exists for me. And so I was like, I know it exists, but I'm not able to see it. And I'm just going to believe that when I start looking at people and myself, that I'm going to be able to see an aura. I'm just going to believe, okay? Because I would see little things, but it was so easy to say, well, that's not much of anything. That's just the light casting. That's just the shadow of my hand. So I was like, don't even think about that. As soon as I see something, I go, let me look into that more. Oh, that is something. So I'd validate the little that I would see and just say it is something. And as soon as I started to do that, I started seeing colors clear. I started seeing shape. I started like everything that I saw just started getting bigger and brighter and crisper.
Yeah.
And that all came from me not allowing my brain to go, well, that's not enough. That's not enough. Or maybe not, maybe this. No, I removed that part of my brain and it all changed. I had to work on it. It wasn't overnight, but dang, did I start getting stuff that was crazy. And it was very, very real. And I could validate it. Yeah, nuts. And my favorite thing to do, I'm not doing it a lot lately, but my favorite thing to do is literally, I will take you in. I wish I could do it online. Maybe I'll figure out how to do it online. I know kind of how to do it online, but if you're in my presence, if you're with me in person, I'll go hold up your hand and tell me what you see. And people will be like, well, I don't, maybe, I don't know. Then I'll go, okay, I'm going to hold up my hand or your hand, and we're going to see kind of like a color or something. You're not going to tell me what it is.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you what I see, and then you tell me if it's the same color. So I have the hand up, and then I go, look what I can see. Can you see it too? But I make them see it before I guide them to see it. And they go, well, I did see that before. Oh my God, I thought that was nothing. And I go, look, it's right there. And then
Yep.
all of a sudden they start going, oh my God, it's getting brighter. Like I can see more of it. I can see more of it. And I'm telling you guys, it's so easy to see an aura. You just have to validate it for people. Like it was so easy for me to start to work with certain aspects of spirit. As soon as I had somebody who was just going, it goes like this, and you look over here, and you know what I mean?
There you go. It is. It's the same with mediumship. It's like once you get that first validation, it's like it's real.
Yes.
You know. Yeah. Again, my mind just went blank. I was about to say something, and it just went. There was a comment again. I can't thank everybody enough for being here tonight. Again, we try to get to as many comments as we can. They just scroll by so fast. So if we don't get to you, don't take it personal. It's just that we do an hour-long show. Sometimes we get into the readings. Sometimes we get on a topic. People are asking questions. We try to answer them. Again, if you do want readings, you can always set up an appointment with me, with Kelly, with Jennifer. Then you have time all for yourself. And that's not a push for you to book a reading with me. That's totally up to you, whether it's me, somebody else, whoever you feel pulled to. These shows, if you come with the expectation of getting a reading, I always say this, and I mean this very kind-heartedly, you're going to be disappointed. Because most people will not get a reading during these. I'm sorry to say that, but it's just the nature of Alive and how it goes. So, you can always book a reading.
Michael's very much the realist.
Yes.
Let me tell you, welcome, but you'll probably not.
You're probably not going to get what you came here for. No, that's not what it's about. But it's just about sharing in the experience of the metaphysical, whether it's us blabbing about something, somebody putting something in the comments that they want to talk about, that we kind of just, share in the experience. Because if somebody else is thinking about that question, chances are there's more than one person thinking that same exact thing. And it's like, we just answered that question for numerous people all at once. And that's what these shows are about. It's about sharing in the experience and validating each other about these experiences. Kind of like what we led off with, talking about seeing a medium and these type of gatherings. It's like you get to share in this experience without judgment, because everybody has probably experienced something and didn't have anybody to turn to because they thought, if I say this, they're going to think I'm nuts. Well, we are nuts, but we're a big group of nutty people that all kind of believe in the same thing. So that's why we're here putting ourselves out there, is to give people a place to express what they're experiencing without judgment, and to let them know you're not alone. Talk about a tangent. That was a huge tangent. I went from setting expectations of you're not going to get a damn thing from me to welcome to everything.
It's funny. No, it's funny. Michael, just tell us which way you're vibing with the conversation or how you want to go. But I mean, the comment section is so important. I mean, let's see, there was something I think interesting up here. There was something. Ashley said, I second guess everything. I feel energies around me, but I doubt that the signs are signs until someone else gives me a little bit of validation. I overthink everything. I would say, welcome to the club, right? Welcome to the club. I think some mediums are much more easygoing than others, but a lot of people do overthink it. it's funny, like there's some people who like naturally just take their head out of the equation, and then they're just like, I want to learn how to get more, and then they'll go to a class and they'll be like, I never thought to ask that question, because their brain is so disengaged.
Right.
But for the people who have very, I guess, overactive brains, once they figure out how to relax, they actually get a lot, because their brain already kind of was ready to do so much. But what am I saying? I'm saying that I think it's important that you're in a circle or a class and you're able to practice getting through that. It's not going to be an overnight thing. You're basically, again, deprogramming like how you were since you were a child. Your parents probably raised you to overthink. It was good for your survival to overthink. You were probably praised for overthinking. It helped you. And in this capacity, it's not going to help you in the mediumship form, especially. So your brain has to exercise itself to work differently. That takes time, and also takes some epiphanies for you to have moments where you can actively, consciously experience and work with your brain with that way as you're guiding it forward. So I would, without a doubt, I would say that is something you're going to have to work through and be very gentle and loving with yourself. And you might have a breakthrough way sooner than you'd expect. I don't put a time on anything, but it's a brain thing. It's not a you thing.
And it's almost like learning a second language too, because the language of spirit is not physical, obviously, right? So they communicate in different ways, whether it's a feeling. I've said this before, but even when I'm communicating with spirit, I just get an image in my mind, or a thought enters my mind. I just talk about what I just experienced. But I've done this long enough now to trust that what they're showing me, that isn't me conjuring that thought, it's them. And the stuttering, the difficult part is getting your mind to shut off and not examine what they're seeing, what you're seeing and experiencing, because your mind's going to want to evaluate, well, why'd they show you a picture of a fish jumping into a boat? It's not for me my mind to understand. Your person just showed me this image. I trust that that means something to the person sitting in front of me. Because I didn't just think of a fish jumping in a boat.
No, yeah. No, there's a reason. There's a reason for everything. I will say, everyone, again, back to your brain a little bit. The more mastery we have, the more we can work with, I guess, varying obstacles. Because, we might be on fire one week. We might have a little bit of inconsistency another week, depending on our energy, our health, right? Our stress levels. And I will say, when my stress levels are high, my stress levels could be a little lower and I could be sick, but when my stress levels are high, I do not process things as clearly. So I will go, you need to give this to me again, maybe sometimes,
Yeah.
or I'm so sorry, I don't know this, at least give me something about that. And I know it's like due to it's my own human body. And I go, my vessel is not working very well. And so I'm aware that if I had, let's say, less stress, maybe better self-care, or, maybe it is something where I'm sick, where it's just really inhibiting me. I know that it's going to be a different experience. That doesn't mean they're not going to be there. And that doesn't mean it won't be a great reading. It's just, it will feel very different. And you might not get as much stuff. Not every medium is like that. I just know I'm like that.
Yeah, it just depends on you as a person. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all going to have those ups and down days, like you just said. It's energy. Sometimes it just flows like it's effortless, and some days it's like, oh my God, person in spirit, will you just give me something?
But I will say this, I feel, and I'm not saying we always know, but I feel there is actually a deeper reason of why our energy is either good on a certain day or bad on a certain day. And we have to go down the rabbit hole for that too as well. But it just depends on the medium. Like I have to do it a little bit more because my body is so sensitive that I've had to go, oh my God, I have a tendency to actually not feel well. So I have to be hyper vigilant of how my energy works so I can heal that. So I go, oh, I've learned about my body. Don't eat that food. Or, don't do this. Like, don't do that. It'll lead to a migraine. You know what I mean? And I just go, okay, great. Now I don't have a migraine. Now I can read better. Like, I've read with migraines, and let me tell you, it still works. It's a different ball game. It just is.
Yeah. Nope, you gotta be right. And if sometimes that means canceling or rescheduling,
Yeah.
it may annoy the person, but I'm like, I would rather you be mad at me for rescheduling than me going to a reading knowing that I am just not in the right mindset for this right now, and you end up having a really negative experience.
Yeah.
I can deal with you being pissed at me because we had to reschedule. I can't live with knowing I shouldn't have gone through with this reading and doing it anyway.
Exactly. There's some times where I'm just like, nope, I have to reschedule. And then there's other times where I go, this is really difficult right now. And so what I will do sometimes is, if I'm at conflict with myself, I'll go, hey, I'm letting you know that it's a little difficult for me today, but I did want to show up. So let's see how this goes, and know that know that, like, how can I put this? Know that actually this might be very, very just drop into the reading. But if there's anything that does come up, please know that these 15 minutes were on me, and we'll get you rescheduled if you like. If not, I'll refund your money. I've done that before, and there's actually plenty of times where the reading just drops into place, and I just had to show up, and they take it away once it starts, right? And then there's other times where it's not taken away, but the reading works, and I just go, okay, as long as you're happy, good. As soon as you're not happy, and I was told to come here, then yeah, no, I take full responsibility. Exactly. You have to take full responsibility for your choices with your energy. When you're dealing with people, you have to take full responsibility. Exactly.
So, hey, before we go, let's do a couple aura readings. So these will be really quick and experimental. Again, we're just going to pick at random. So if you want to do one, then I'll do one. We'll just keep it quick and see what we find. So if you want to jump in first, pick somebody. And
okay, who's open to a reading? I always ask. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Jennifer Hall. She's the first one to go, hey, I'd love one. So for the rest of the people, we're doing some readings, so let us know if you want a reading. That's how we will go to you. Thank you. So I'm gonna go to Jennifer Hall, and all right, kind of let's open up the energy. I'm just kind of letting things open up for a second. Thank you for your patience, everybody. So, Jennifer, what I'm getting with you is the strongest colors coming out are this turquoise. It's a turquoise kind of blue, and it's letting me know the need for more communication. Basically, the importance of saying to you, you have strong beliefs and you have abilities. And so this is you as a spiritual soul, and this is you as a human being walking in the world and seeing injustices, doing good work, just being around friends and family. And they're saying use your voice more. Use your voice more, because actually you have a lot to say and you have a lot to do. But sometimes you hold back because you're like, I'd rather not deal with conflict. And it's easier for me to oscillate. So to go back and forth and kind of be here sometimes and then take a break, and kind of do this sometimes and take a break. So there's a lot of up, down, left, right, and shifting. Like there's a lot of shifting rather than saying, this is me and this is what I just happened to believe. Can you understand, Jennifer, having kind of working on being okay? Yes, thank you. You're saying I don't like. Thank you for understanding. So you can understand not being okay with opposing circumstances that come up. The reason that came in a way is because they're reminding you with that beautiful turquoise energy that you have so much thinking and emotion, and a lot of your higher self is on board because you've had to sit back and listen, and you'd rather sit back and listen. So you've actually developed a lot. So you're ready to actually be a leader in some roles, and you're ready to actually let people know what is real or helpful, because they're just talking off the hip. And it's important to go, okay, well, speaking of, all right, speaking of, I think I'm going to it's important that I say this. So you're very ready, and you're very your opinions are very needed. It's not just a thought anymore. You're a very thoughtful person, and it's time to speak. So I want to give that to you, and I keep seeing gold with the turquoise, and then I'm going to hand this off to Michael. But I keep seeing gold in the turquoise and pops of purple and even red. And I'm just reading your comment. People that shoot from the hip can be difficult to get through to. Sure, but it's not about, I think it's not about even getting through to them. It's about saying that another viewpoint exists, and this is real, and not just one viewpoint exists. So it breaks up the domination, and it breaks up the superiority. And there's a quiet confidence in just saying, and this too. And maybe they listen, maybe they are interested, maybe they agree, or maybe they don't. But it's out there. It's out there, and it's real. And it also gives out the flavor of you can't be influenced. So it protects yourself too. So this is also a protection thing in growing your power and your confidence and having stronger footing with who you are. This is for you. To speak with your voice is for you, not just for others. It's for you. But sorry, the gold and the purple and the red. So really there's this calling of leadership, honestly. There's this calling of leadership. And if you can understand, you've actually been given like management roles, in the jobs that you have, not maybe you've expected them, but there's a calling to become more. There's a calling to become more. I could keep talking, I really could, but I'm going to give it over to Michael, and you get a butterfly too as coming on in. It's like go over.
So I'm over on my page, so I don't know if everybody's going to see this, but Angela, are you still here? And if I butcher your last name, Angela, I'm sorry. It's Raish, I believe.
Thank you, Jennifer, by the way.
So Angela, if you're still there, comment, because it was like I started reading you while Kelly was doing her. Okay. So Angela, I'm just going to dive right in. I'm looking at my phone. I should put it up here. So Angela, just be open. If I bomb this, don't be afraid to tell me I suck. It doesn't matter. I don't work with aura too often, so I'm just going to go with it. So the first color that I see around you is red. And what I'm getting with that is, like, to me, that represents, for you personally, the guard is up. And where I feel this really applies, because Angela is also a medium. Whether you admit to this or not, Angela, I just feel like you're still trying to get validation from others about your work, and you're still trying to prove yourself. And I feel that you still, and it's weird because I feel the same thing for myself as I'm telling you this. You still hesitate to fully put yourself out there because of being judged. I also feel I need to talk about the people-pleasing aspect of your personality, which, again, I don't like to admit it for myself, but I do that too. So it's things that we still need to work on. I'm saying we because I'm resonating with this myself. But this is a reminder, like, you need to stand in your power. Stop comparing yourself to others. We all do that. It's human nature. but I feel like if you put some effort into tackling these issues and really coming into yourself and really owning who you are, I think it's gonna make leaps and bounds as far as your metaphysical work. Sometimes it can get personal, so I'm just gonna say this. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I don't know if your spouse still questions what you do, because I feel like I need to talk about that aspect a little bit. And again, a lot of people go through the same thing if they're in a relationship. Some partners, they'll appease us, but they don't really support us fully. It's still kind of like, I'm not sure. And that can really take a toll on our self-confidence. But I think it's important maybe to just talk to your partner and just let them know how important this is to you. But again, in a nutshell, I believe it's just standing in your power, learning to just, say, this is who I am. I don't care what other people think, say, or feel, which is difficult, but it all comes down to that. It's like, are you going to let other people hold you back from something you are really passionate about? It's a choice, and there's no wrong decision. But I'll kind of end it there. And it's weird. As I'm talking to you, I see a shift in your aura in my mind that goes from red to almost like an ocean, almost like Kelly was saying with the turquoise. I've seen that shift in your energy just by maybe talking about this. So Angela, I truly hope that this resonated with you, and it just gives you something to think about again and something to work on, something to focus on. So I'm just reading her comments, and
Yeah, please. Yeah.
so she's saying 100% really needed some guy. I'm invisible to others, or just crazy, or am I invisible? No, Tony, I'm sorry. I'm reading your comments too. Sorry. You're not invisible, Tony. You're not. We're just jumping around. So she's saying my spouse does not fully understand what I do, yet honors me and believes in me. And that's great. I think as long as you have that communication open, I think right there, just that alone will benefit you. But again, we're all a work in progress. And I think it just really comes down to, is this really who I am? Is it important for me to do this work? And if it is, as hard as it is, you just got to say, screw everybody else, I'm doing this.
Yes.
But I just feel like you're super talented with your work. And I don't just say things to make people feel better. If anybody knows me, they know that. I don't just throw out accolades if I don't mean it.
He doesn't. Yeah. Very tell it like it is.
But I just feel it's like we're all unique in what we do, but I just feel like your uniqueness, if that's a word, forgive my lack of vocabulary.
It is, yeah.
You got to let your aspect of your personality shine throughout your work, and try not to emulate other people as well. And I'll stop at that, Angela. So thank you for being open, and thank you for giving me the feedback. I appreciate it.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So you're reminding me, Michael. So everybody, yes, on Facebook, we're not able to see some of you unless Michael is holding up his phone, and it's because if Sacred Spiral isn't friends with like the same people that Michael are, Facebook has privacy settings on. So that just happens. If you want to see the stream, or if you want to be on the main stream, besides just what's on the screen for the show, you can go to Michael Christopher's YouTube or Sacred Spiral YouTubes. You can go to any YouTube, because if you're on YouTube, you kind of just see who's ever on the same YouTube, okay? Mm-hmm. But we'll see your stuff coming in from YouTube. I hope that makes sense. We will see your comments on YouTube. It's just whatever YouTube channel you're on, that's who you'll actually see the other comments live as they come in. Well, we have multiple YouTubes right now. But yeah, if you need to change over from Facebook to YouTube, sure, there's that. And then also with Sacred Spiral, with Facebook, that is not up. It's a story within itself. We're hoping to get it back. But yes, go to Michael Christopher YouTube or Sacred Spiral YouTube. Anyway, I just have to, the technicalities, I should have probably talked about that in the beginning.
That's okay.
But
here's an idea. Why don't you pick somebody? We'll both give them a reading and call it, and then we'll do like a collective. So
Okay.
we'll pick an individual. We'll both give them a little bit of information on what you get, what I get for them, and then we'll kind of do a collective and then call it a night, if that works for you.
Sure. Okay. So everybody, put out if you want a reading. If you're open to it, say yes, me, or I'm open. Michael, would you like to choose? Or do you want me to choose?
You. I want you to.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did tell me to choose. That went over my head for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of there's more than one person I'm looking at. Okay, where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna go? All right, I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna go to Belinda.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go to Belinda. Okay. Sometimes when we want to go multiple directions, we have to take a moment. So, okay, Belinda, what I'm seeing for you is I'm getting the mixture of like white and silver and like this kind of dusty purple. So it's like the silver and the gray and the purple. And so it's letting me know that it's almost like the invitation to re-invite in the imaginative within your life. And it's almost like, I know this sounds funny, but with fairy energy and unicorns and it's like that was loved as a kid. Like, how am I going to put this? What was loved as a kid is okay to love now as an adult, and it has nothing to do with being a child. So it's basically saying invite the wonder, invite the spooky, invite the spectacular, and it's your life. You get to choose. The reason why it comes up is it's like the purple showcases me like the imaginative realm and the spiritual realm. And it's almost like you've been kind of getting that back online. And it's almost like you have conversations with yourself about really what's practical, and you don't want to share things with others because they wouldn't understand and they wouldn't know. Can you understand this, Belinda? So it's the encouragement of it doesn't matter if people can't relate. You're going to have to do you in your own life and what makes you happy. If you can understand this, Belinda, I'm just making sure.
And if everybody could just hold off on comments right now, just let Belinda reply. It just makes it go so much quicker.
She can understand this. Okay, so I'm going to say a couple of things, and I'm just going to give it off to you because we're sharing this. It's because I feel very proper with you, Belinda. I feel very proper. I feel like I was raised properly, and there's not room sometimes for all this stuff. And I want to say to hell in a handbasket. I don't usually think about that. Is that a phrasing that you're familiar with? I don't know. But to hell in a handbasket. And it's time to do things that make you happy. So I'm seeing like going out on a trip or going to a zoo. I know this sounds bizarre, but it's almost like re-inviting your child to come back in, and it has nothing to do with child things. It has to do with your happiness. So I'm just repeating a lot of that because that's what's coming on in. I'm going to hand it on over, and I can go to other colors, but I'm handing it on over to you. She's saying yes.
So Belinda, I'm just jumping in. And again, if this doesn't make sense, don't hesitate to say it doesn't make sense. I'm going to be delicate with this, but just let me know if this makes sense. Okay. I feel like I have to talk about like your childhood, and there's aspects of your childhood that were missed that you're like been yearning to recapture. And I don't know if you're vicariously trying to live that through your children, if you have children.
She says she has 3 kids she just put down. I have 3 kids. I love time with them.
Okay. I did not see that. But I just feel I need to talk about that aspect. So can you understand that when you were growing up? I don't know. I just feel like you had responsibilities that maybe kids or even, young adults were not prepared for, but it was a role that maybe you had to take on for one reason or another. And I just have this feeling like you feel like you missed out on some things because of that. Does that make sense?
We'll just give her a moment.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because it's interesting because I'm looking at her energy space and what I believe is her house or her room, and it just seems like, at least for her room, I don't have a lot of extra decorations. Maybe I have things that are important to me on my dresser, but I don't have a lot of decorations on the wall. There's not a lot of color in my space. Um, and it's kind of like, right, through your children, it's helping to remind you and to be excited about these things. But just like you can decorate a kid's room and you want that, you don't want a kid to live with white walls and just a simple comforter. You want them to feel like, happy and joyful. And it's just like, I want you to decorate your room, please, Belinda. That's what I'm getting. And so I'm getting similar themes with what you're talking about. She says, I had nothing and started working at 16 and had to take care of family. And I feel like if you can understand your room right now, it's like, give yourself something. You have been, give yourself more. This is your house. This is your space. She says, nothing at all. Yes, ma'am. She understands.
I have to say this. So Belinda, this is again, when we feel into people's energy, we become aware of feelings and emotions and just things that we need to talk about. And again, I try to be as, loving when I say this. Just know that's where this is coming from. I feel that you worry that you're putting too much pressure. You feel like you're going to become that person that maybe takes away from their childhood, if that makes sense. But I just feel like you're not. I feel like I need to say that you're an excellent parent and you have to cut yourself some slack because you're doing exactly what you need to do. And I believe that experience is always in the back of your mind, but you're taking it and you're ensuring that your children like never have to go through what you did. But I feel I need to say that you need to enjoy those moments too, and don't be afraid to be a kid yourself. You don't always have to be that serious person. Make sure you're letting go and if you have to, act like a child, do it. If it makes you happy, do it.
Right. And I think that like extends itself to the clothes we wear, the way we choose to adorn our environments. It extends to really every what we allow ourselves to do. Like, just this week, the Circus Soleil was in town and we got tickets. We went because I was like, it's so easy to go. And this is fun. Do I need it? You could say no, you could say yes. Everyone needs a laugh and something good, like to perk yourself up. But yeah, I was just like, this is a necessity if it's not difficult to just smile and have fun. And I got to see like all these awesome people perform. Like there's people doing like flips and handstands while they were like 50 feet up in the air. And I'm just like, that's crazy that human beings can do that. Right? Like maybe people are like mediums. That's crazy. I'm like, that's crazy that people can balance and do a triple flip and land on each other's shoulders. That's nuts.
Belinda, I spoil yourself too. I just feel it's like that's your guides coming through to like, you need to spoil yourself. I don't know what this is with bubbles, but I see this giant hoop, of the bubble makers. I just feel, I don't know if that's something that you like to do, but I'm seeing like just you running and just doing these bubbles. So I don't know, but it's okay to treat yourself. But again, this is coming from your guides, your higher self. And it's like, it's just a reminder that you're doing exactly what you need to do. I just feel it's like maybe this just needs to be verbalized to you, but you're an amazing person and you're an amazing parent. Don't ever question that.
She says, my daughter loves them. She's talking about bubbles,
Oh, okay.
acknowledging the bubbles. So it seems like the kids are helping to bring out these aspects, and we don't, how can I put it? Just remember that the kids can inspire, but also to have your separate time where you can inspire the kids and say, this is mom's thing. And they go, oh, like, that's really cool. Like, so we have to, we have to learn from others, and others will learn from us. And it can't just be, I'm doing this through another, for another, to stand in our own light, our own interests, our own power. So that's really important coming on in. And then I got this visual of, it could be a pool in connection to your kids, but it was like a need. It's like to step into a pool and cleanse, like whether it is a spa or some type of salt bath, or they call float lounges. But there's something about, I need to cleanse and do self-care, and I need to let things go. And so there's also another piece coming in, if you can understand, it's about adding to your spirituality, whether it is getting deeper into a part of religion that you connect to, or enhancing what you know of spirituality and expanding your spiritual understanding. That is going to help with the cleansing of the past and feeling like you have energy to actually be this person rather than just want to be the person.
Me too, Belinda. I love just sitting and staring at the water. I don't know what it is about finger painting. There's something about finger painting I need to bring up. So I don't know if they're encouraging you maybe to finger paint with your children. I just feel like that's an activity maybe that you could share together. Again, if I see something, I'm going to talk about it. So as far as me, I'm going to leave it at that. And again, thank you for Belinda for being open.
Thank you.
And have fun.
No, yeah, thank you, Belinda, for talking to us. And like the final thing I kind of just see is I get this star in my hands. Actually, it's a lot of things. I wish I could see it a little bit clearer. It's a star. It's also like, I think, a pine cone too. It's like all these symbols of excellence and spirituality. And it's like the spirit world wants to give that to you. And that's like a gift of saying, like, you get to, it's like we are all, this is interesting. We are all a part of God. This is like a message coming in for you, Belinda. We are all a part of God. And, to walk your life in divinity. Okay. So, there's just a gift of, you are amazing, you are divine, and here, feel this. And that's what was given to you before we close. Okay.
So
Thank
I pulled a card. This is going to be for the collective. So this is from the Akashic Records Oracle cards. So the title is Walk Away. Okay. And I'm just going to read it. I may interpret a little bit more after that, but so what this card is reminding you is you're wasting your precious energy on something that will not bear fruit. It is time to turn your attention to things more aligned to your soul's purpose. Any analogy or example I'm getting in my mind is you can't squeeze. What is the thing from a turnip? I'm sorry, but I'm seeing the turnip. You can't get wine, or you can't squeeze blood from a turnip. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, the analogy is, if you're not getting, results, or you're not feeling satisfied about something you're doing, or maybe you're trying to help somebody and they're just not taking it. Maybe you've worked at something for so long and put so much effort and nothing's happening from that. Maybe that's the sign to maybe stand back and reevaluate. Is this good for me? Is this good for my energy? If not, I think it's just a reminder to walk away. It's okay sometimes to walk away. And I feel it's more with people. Some people will never change as much as we want them to. It's sometimes you just have to cut your losses. And again, You have to put yourself first. And if it's draining, continually draining, it's time to just walk away. Can't get blood from a rock. There you go, Phyllis.
Can't get blood from a rock. There you go. And so are we each
Yeah.
pulling one for collective
Sure.
message? Okay, so that
If you
was
want, or if you have some, an intuitive thought, whatever.
yeah, I like, cards are so fun to do for the last message. And thank you, Belinda. Yeah, there's that connection you have. That's very strong. Very strong. You develop that. Okay. Collective message. Interesting. All right. Sure. Okay. So the collective message that I got, I just never get one. They pop out as they pop out. I'm so sorry. I didn't follow the rules. So the first one is called the Platonic Control card. These are my own cards, so bear with me if you're like, what the heck is that? And the Platonic Control card is basically like surrendering the need to try to figure it out. Surrender the need to try to fix it. Surrender the need to be so invested in things where you think that your will and influence will change the tides. And I'm talking about things where within your life where you've already shown your will in your heart and you think there needs to be more of it. It's just like there needs to be more and I'm the one. And I have to be perfect. I have to think about the perfect strategy. I have to be this. It's all on me. And they're basically saying just like the spirit world, like surrender control. All right. Like true power is beyond one person. And we're going into things like metaphysics, universal laws, again, God, the collective, the divine intelligence, the spark of creation. It's just like there's concepts so bigger than we could even understand. And you have to say, I've done the work and I'm not going to beat myself up just based on my current results, because my spiritual self is working within the collective. I can't see my future, and I have to have faith. Just because I can't see my future doesn't mean it's working. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's very strange. It's coming out of me very strange, but it's coming out like that. But in the last, and I'm glad it makes sense. And then connected to that is to refocus the mind. So this is about healing and grounding. And again, releasing this hyper focus on a bunch of things we feel like we need, but we don't. So be at peace, everybody. Let go of the computers, let go of the phones, let go of the overthinking. Be with yourself and take care of yourself. That's what I have to say.
Perfect. So there we go. We did an hour and a half. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow, that went fast.
Yeah,
it's like I knew that, but I had no idea at the same time. I had no idea. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for being here with me and inviting me on your show. Like, thank you, and thank you for the extra time. I'm glad it went fast, but wow, yeah, we're an hour 30.
It did, and I hope that everybody got something out of the show tonight and of the topics. Again, I just want to reiterate the purpose of these shows really just briefly. So again, Kelly's network has so many great shows, right? And they're mostly centered around the metaphysical. I encourage everybody to like the page, check out the other shows. Everybody has a different spin on their work and their perspective. And I think that's important that we, I don't want to use the word shop around, but it's kind of like that. You're going to find the people that you kind of, resonate with. I can be a little harsh and some people don't like that. Some people do. I'm just being me. This is me. Take it or leave it, but I think it's important for you to find your group. And I think it's important, that if you have questions about experiences or you're just seeking knowledge. I mean, these shows can provide that. through resources, through sharing experience about, maybe books we've read, or just, for me, I've been doing this 10 years, which is not really a long time, but I love sharing my perspective on, what I view on mediumship. It's probably different from a lot of people, and that's good. Again, it's my perspective. Some people resonate with it, some people don't. I'm trying to make my point as briefly as I can, but I'm Italian and I have difficulty being brief. My point is, find people you resonate with. Find people that you're comfortable with opening up to. We just want you to find the answers that you're looking for. That's the bottom line of these shows. We want you to feel welcome. We want you to feel comfortable enough to talk and express what you've experienced, and know that you're not alone. Because again, a lot of us, when we begin this journey, most of us are thrown into this journey through very traumatic experiences. And often we're like, what the hell? I don't even know where to turn with this. And for a lot of us, we had to do a lot of soul searching and research on our own. So now with these shows on this network, it kind of just gives you that shortcut to resources, that you don't have to feel like you're alone, and know that you're not alone with these experiences. I'll stop there.
No, it's important. I think, you're talking about the essence of why I believe in having all these shows and supporting wonderful people like you, Michael, because you get it. Like, we just want everybody to know that we're not alone, and we're all figuring it out together, and we're sharing our knowledge with you. And we're really, really trying, because, Michael, myself, Jennifer, and many other people on the network and beyond, we just happen to be making this our life, as everyone will have a certain focus with when they find something they believe in, how they want to share it. And so this is just ours. So I'm grateful.
For me, I just want people to look at me and go, that goofy bastard doesn't know everything, but he's willing to share everything, and it is. I mean, I'm just me, I don't have all the answers, but, I've had the people comment that, they look at me and at first they're like intimidated, and then they book a reading with me and they're like, wow, it's like you're nothing like your picture, or, if I'm like, I'm 5'8", I weigh 150 pounds. I don't intimidate anybody. But, I do my thing. I'll just say that this is me. This is not a persona. This is me. Take it or leave it. But again, it took a lot for myself, Kelly, like she said, for people to be brave enough to put themselves out there into the public doing this work. That takes a lot of courage, because we know we're going to be ridiculed. We know we're going to be judged. You name it, we've probably experienced it. But again, knowing the reason why we do this work, and I always reflect on that. If you have a strong why, and you know why you're doing this work and the reason, that stuff kind of just falls away, because you don't let it affect you. And I've said this before. It's like, am I going to let somebody's criticism, and on top of that, a stranger who doesn't know me is criticizing me and judging me, is that going to be enough to make me stop doing this? And is that going to stop me from maybe helping a person tomorrow that desperately needs a message from their person? It's like, no, screw that.
Yeah, no. It's important. It's important to share. It's important to talk about these things, and keep your questions coming. Seriously, we need to talk about this way more than we already do. So that's where I stand.
Talk about a long outro. I told you, I am not brief.
Well, that's a good thing that you care as much as you do. I think it's a good thing.
Well,
But
thank you.
yeah, I'm taking your lead in all of this. So I'm just saying, right on.
Bottom line is you can be a goofy bastard like me and make a difference in someone's life. There you go.
There you go.
So,
Just like Tony said, if you're authentic, it's A-okay. It's A-okay. All right, Michael. Yeah, I'm following your lead here.
all right. Well, thank you again, Kelly, for putting up with me for a third time. I think Jen should be back next week. So, and I did promise that we're going to do a straight show of just mediumship. So that'll be next week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do appreciate you being here again. If we didn't get your comments, don't think we're ignoring you. We're not. It's just there's so much and there's so little time. So we just try to do what we can. Again, just know that we appreciate you being here. So thank you, everybody. And until next Friday, you have a great weekend and we'll see you then.
Bye.